The study investigates how COVID-19 safety measures influence mode choice in long-distance travel, focusing on car, train, and aircraft. It employs a Hierarchical Information Integration (HII) approach and models the data using a Latent Class Choice Model, identifying 4 distinct segments. 2 segments prioritize their own risk assessment based on infection and vaccination rates, while the others prefer the train and car, respectively, due to a lower value of time. The HII approach captures a broader array of attributes, and the study uses a panel mixed logit model to account for respondent heterogeneity. The impact of COVID-19 on travel behavior is multifaceted, with fear of infection and crowding driving mode choice. The research evaluates the perception of COVID-19 measures through a survey and models their impact on mode choice using an HII experiment. The results provide insights into how different population segments perceive infection risk and its impact on mode choice, highlighting the importance of understanding subjective perceptions in shaping travel behavior. The research focuses on understanding travelers' perceived infection risk in relation to various travel attributes, including trip-specific factors, policy-based attributes, and pandemic context. A bridging experiment is designed to link perceived infection risk with other travel-related attributes, including mode choice, travel time, cost, and travel class. The study aims to understand how individuals perceive travel time, cost, comfort, and risk of infection with COVID-19 in different travel modes. A Bayesian-deficient design is generated for the bridging experiment, which maximizes the number of choice tasks. The model estimation involves separate rating and bridging experiments, with the bridging experiment modeled using a Latent Class Choice Model (LCCM) to capture respondent heterogeneity. The LCCM estimates several distinct MNL models, allocating individuals to these models in a probabilistic fashion based on their observed choices. The class allocation probability is then carried on into the WLS regression to model the rating experiment. The paper also discusses the formulation of the LC model and the class allocation probability, providing equations for both. The research paper presents a rating experiment utilizing a multiple linear regression approach to analyze the impact of individual aspects on attribute scoring. It proposes estimating separate regression models for each population segment using weighted least squares (WLS) regression, leveraging class allocation probabilities as weights calculated from the longitudinal cohort and career model (LCCM). The study's data collection involved a survey administered to the Dutch Railways panel, resulting in 705 fully valid responses. The sample's socio-demographic characteristics are compared to those of the Dutch population, revealing a skewed distribution with an above-average share of older individuals and higher education levels. The survey was conducted during the COVID-19 epidemic, with various government measures in place, which significantly affected how respondents answered the survey. The paper discusses the results of a bridging experiment and rating experiments, focusing on the estimation of a 4-class latent class model with an adjusted ρ² of 0.34. The study employs weighted least squares regression models to analyze travel preferences and infection risk perception across different market segments. A sensitivity analysis is conducted to understand the implications of these preferences on modal split. The paper identifies 4 distinct segments based on their travel preferences, infection risk perception, and socio-demographic characteristics: time-sensitive travelers, prudent travelers, frequent train-loving travelers, and cautious car travelers. Time-sensitive travelers are the most sensitive to travel time, with a willingness to pay of €72 per h compared to a sample average of €40 per h. They perceive risk as time-dependent and do not associate any fixed penalty for risk. Their modal preferences are constant, with a strong preference for train and aversion towards the private car. Comfort is insignificant for this segment, and they are influenced by infection and vaccination rates, as well as mask requirements. Official advice does not significantly impact their perceived risk, suggesting they prefer making their own informed decisions. This segment is representative of the sample in terms of income, education, and gender. They have a low car ownership rate and are the least frequent long-distance travelers, primarily traveling for work. Their stated modal preferences favor train or air for shorter trips and only air for longer trips, as observed in the ternary chart in Figure 4. The paper concludes by discussing the implications of these preferences on modal split through a sensitivity analysis. The research paper discusses the modal choice behavior of travelers, focusing on 4 distinct segments: prudent travelers, frequent train-loving travelers, and cautious car travelers. Each segment exhibits unique preferences, risk perceptions, and willingness to pay for different travel attributes. The prudent travelers are sensitive to time and risk, preferring flying over train travel at high risk levels and willing to pay for class upgrades. In contrast, the frequent train-loving travelers have a strong preference for train travel and are less concerned with risk, willing to pay for comfort upgrades. The cautious car travelers exhibit the lowest willingness to pay for travel time improvements and are highly sensitive to risk, preferring car travel due to perceived safety. They have the highest car ownership, with 68% owning their own car. The study's implications include sensitivity analysis on modal split for different trip lengths and risk levels, presented in Figure 5. The sample is not representative of the Dutch population, so the sizes of the individual segments are not assumed to be representative. The research analyzes the impact of perceived risk on travel mode choice for long-distance trips, focusing on train, car, and air travel. It employs a hierarchical information integration approach and a latent class choice model to identify 4 distinct segments based on travel behavior preferences. These segments have unique values of time and risk perceptions, such as time-sensitive travelers seeing risk as time-dependent and prudent travelers viewing it as time-independent. The study suggests that enhancing safety perceptions on trains could increase their usage and emphasizes the importance of understanding risk perceptions for promoting sustainable travel modes. The research also explores risk perception and safety measures among different traveler segments during the COVID-19 pandemic, highlighting the impact of policy measures like mask wearing and entry requirements. It emphasizes the need for a balanced combination of measures and suggests further studies to expand on these findings. The COVID-19 pandemic has significantly reshaped travel behavior and preferences, leading to increased interest in sustainable modes of transportation such as night trains. This paper explores the potential for night trains to become a viable alternative for long-distance travel in Europe, considering factors like risk perception, travel time, and cost. Research indicates that fear of infection plays a crucial role in determining travel choices, with higher perceived risk leading to reduced travel. Working from home during the pandemic has positively influenced attitudes towards train use. The study also delves into the concept of willingness to pay for safety improvements in passenger air travel, which could be applied to night trains as well. Hierarchical information integration experiments and integrated choice experiments are used to understand traveler preferences and choices, highlighting the trade-offs between travel time, cost, and safety. The revival of night trains is driven by environmental concerns and recent policy changes. For instance, France has outlawed short-haul flights where a train journey can be completed within 2.5 hours, while Austria's trains are taking over short-haul flight routes, emphasizing the shift towards more sustainable travel options. In conclusion, the paper presents a comprehensive analysis of the impact of COVID-19 on travel behavior and preferences, highlighting the potential for night trains to emerge as a preferred mode of long-distance travel in Europe. By examining factors such as risk perception, travel time, and cost, the study contributes to our understanding of the complex interplay between pandemic-related factors and travel choices. Here is a combined summary of the 4 pages. The research paper presents a comprehensive analysis of travel mode preferences in a post-COVID-19 world, employing a survey design using engine software to construct experiments that assess the influence of various factors on travel choices. The rating experiment design and bridging experiment designs for shorter and longer trips consider travel time, cost, comfort, and risk associated with each mode, aiming to understand how changes in these attributes impact travel mode preferences. The paper uses linear functions with intercepts based on average speeds to calculate travel time and cost for different modes, with airfares found to be fully distance independent and train and car travel costs having an identical slope. The implications of varying train speeds are presented, showing that faster train speeds can lead to a 50% difference in travel time, resulting in shifts in travel mode preferences. Time-sensitive travelers tend to switch from air to train, while frequent train-loving and cautious car travelers shift from car, and prudent travelers substitute both. The research also discusses the impact of train travel speed on market share across different market segments. Figure 7 illustrates the market share distribution based on average train travel speeds, highlighting the significant influence of speed on market share. The paper applies algorithms and mathematical models to analyze this relationship, emphasizing the importance of considering travel speed as a key factor in market share distribution. The analysis in Appendix C varies train speeds between 70 km per hour and 300 km per hour to assess the impact of high-speed rail infrastructure on modal shift, providing insights into the market dynamics.